Hello and welcome. My name is George, and my channel is all about helping you get the most out of Logic Pro so that you can record and produce your best music in your home studio. Today, we're continuing on our series of recording, mixing, and mastering Camaro 67's song Late Night, and we're going to be looking specifically at how we recorded the horns. So that's trumpet, trombone, and baritone sax. I'm going to talk about the mics we used and why we decided to overdub versus keeping the original session tracks and everything else that went into this session. So let's dive in. Okay, so for starters, in case you didn't watch the first video of the series, we recorded this originally all live off the floor. So all 9 musicians playing together in one room, and that included the horns. Now, after that original session, we decided that we were going to overdub the horns at a later date. So that means the 3 horn players are going to come back and we'll just focus on the horns. And the main reason for that is it just allows us the time to really focus in on those parts and not have to worry about holding up the rest of the band and everything like that. The original tracks were actually sounded real good performance wise, but this just allows us the chance to kind of really get nitpicky and any kind of production stuff that we want to talk over, we can take the time to do that. The horns in this song and in this band, they carry the melody throughout the tune. So in one aspect, they are kind of the main feature and focus. So we really want to make sure that that sounds as good as possible. Now, doing things this way, this is really common in any genre, really. And just because you aren't using those original tracks, don't think of it as kind of wasted time for those musicians, because the goal really when you're recording all together to begin with is to kind of get the groove and the essence of everyone kind of in the room. And if we were kind of to strip it down and layer everything one by one, let's say the drums and the bass and the guitars, and do everything isolated, then you kind of lose that feel, right? Because people aren't playing together in one room. You're not feeding off each other. Um, it just, you don't get the same connection that way. But on the other hand, the way we did it, everyone in one room, everyone playing together, you really get that sense of people playing together and everything just kind of fitting and sitting well. And then even though we overdub the horns, the rhythm section, all the other instruments, the drums, the bass, the guitars, the keys, the percussion, those are all kind of locked in together. And now when we overdub the horns, that feeling of the band playing together is still there. So we're not really losing that groove just because we're adding the horns back. But having the horns there in the first place, that really allows everyone to play as a band and get that groove. So as I mentioned, don't consider that kind of lost time. And also don't be afraid of overdubbing after the fact. You know, if you need to kind of clean something up, or if the parts weren't quite worked out yet and you just want to spend some more time, don't be afraid to do that after the fact. Now, when it came time to overdub the horns, I decided to record them a little bit differently than I did when we first did everything live, and specifically using some different microphones. When we did everything live, I basically used kind of the mics that I had and that I had available to me. One of which was the Shure SM7B here, and I also had a couple similar mics, the Shure MV7s. So these are kind of broadcast microphones, and that's what I use for the horns. However, I felt that the sound was kind of a little bit shrill and not quite as warm as I was hoping to get. So I decided to make a change from the microphone, and I went and rented some Sennheiser 421 microphones that are kind of well known for being good on horns and getting kind of that warmer tone that I was after. So I'll just play you a little before and after so you can kind of get a sense of that. So let me solo the horns here, and let's start with the original takes. So this take 7, this was the last take of when everyone was recording kind of live off the floor. So you can hear in there, it's performance wise, it sounds good, right? There's nothing openly wrong with what was played. There is, however, there's quite a bit of bleed from the drums in there on the bass and a little bit of guitars as well. So that's another advantage of being able to overdub is we'll kind of get a bit more separation that way. And then when I was talking about kind of production stuff, like one of the things we talked about was, whether or not to fall off at the end of lines. So for example, here, so you can hear the baritone sax falls off and the trumpet and the trombone, they kind of cut off early. So when we were able to overdub, that's something we were able to talk about, whether or not we wanted that to happen. And so everyone could kind of do the same thing in the same spots. So now in comparing that with the overdub, now the horns sound like this. So as you heard, there's no bleed anymore. We got rid of all the drums and bass and everything else. And the ending of the phrase was much more cohesive as well. And then just the sound overall, I much preferred the sound that we got out of those 421 microphones rather than the broadcast mics that we were using. Now, we haven't mixed anything yet. There's no reverb or no plugins, no EQ, no compression yet. So that's still something left to be done that we're going to cover in a future video. Now, not only did we get better separation between the whole band, but also got really good separation between each instrument. And we recorded the 3 horns kind of all together at once, but we still have really good separation between the 3. So here's the trombone. So really nice and isolated trombone. A little bit more of the baritone sax and the trumpet mic, and then here's the baritone. So you can hear a little bit in the background, but overall, some real nice separation. So this is just going to make it a lot easier to mix the 3 horns, having that separation. Now, I mentioned that we recorded the 3 horns all together at once. And again, that's to kind of get more of that live playing. And again, just the start and end of phrases, it's a lot easier for the horn players to do them all together when they're when they're playing together rather than playing isolated one at a time. And just to give you a little view, you can see here the Sennheiser mics and how I have them set up and how the horns are. So really just have them set up how they would be playing live, not too far apart from each other, so everyone's comfortable and can see each other and play off of each other. So the other thing I mentioned about overdubbing is it just gives you a bit more time working out parts. And so I just want to give you a little behind the scenes of some of those moments while we were recording. Should,
I'm mixing languages. All right.
but that stack, shouldn't it be like, because it's going the trumpet second, right? So it's like jumping up and then back down. Should it not kind of build?
If you're comfortable taking it 2 octaves, but what Langston's doing right now is taking the lower octave the first time, second octave the second time. I think his chops are going to last better. I can just play louder to help build it, or you can move. Oh yeah. He wants Langston to play up the octave both times in the head.
Well, no, it's like I wonder if you should be second.
Yeah, off the intro.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm like Jesus.
All right.
Right.
Okay, I'll hit the D flat. You hit the F then. Okay.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Yeah. So having the time to work out those little details really helps with the final recording. Now, one of the other advantages of overdubbing is it just allows us to focus on one section at a time rather than doing a whole song at once, which is how we did it when we first recorded with everyone live. We just play the whole song from top to bottom, and then we chose the best take of those. In this case, you can see here we were able to kind of do the A section a couple times there, and then a couple times here, and then a couple times there, and just kind of worked our way through the song. So kind of doing 3 or 4 takes of each section, and in a few spots, choosing the best spots of each. And so having these multiple takes allows us a lot more freedom to, if there was one little note that was missed, then I can take that from a second take. And again, without that bleed, then that's not so much of an issue anymore, the being able to mix and match different takes. So creating take folders, again, you just record over the previous takes and Logic will automatically create this take folder, and then you can quickly select your favorite take and make a comp out of it. So that's what I've done here. So I want to let you hear a little bit of this in context with the rest of the band. And there you go. So I hope this gives you some insights on the overdub session that happened with the horns. Next up is we're going to have to mix these horns. So we'll add some compression, some EQ, and some reverb and make it all sound as good as possible. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments below. And I also want to thank you for all the likes and subscribes. And lastly, if you want to improve your workflow in Logic Pro, don't forget to download my free Ultimate Logic Pro Starter Pack. This includes my Logic Pro hotkey cheat sheet with all the most common shortcuts right at your fingertip, as well as my audio recording guide to make sure that your recordings go as flawlessly as possible. My mixing guide, which includes a rundown of all the most common Logic Pro plugins and effects, as well as my gear guide if you're just getting started and you want to know exactly what you need to get your home studio up and running. And lastly, my Logic Pro session templates. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one.